Anything where people do these bring-ins for like 6 hours.
Right. The stronger your nefesh elokis is, the more your body cooperates with it. Michal, if you get cold, let me know. Okay.
No, this is comfortable. It's hard to understand.
Okay, we learned some pretty amazing stuff yesterday, right? Ephraim Mordechai was not able to be here.
Oh, I was not sure.
Right.
I was trying to get what it up. I learned the
So,
of television.
Yeah. Also important. Okay, so we were learning about secrets. Remember, Michal?
I still don't have it clear, but I'm getting there.
I'm telling you honestly, Michal, when I first started hearing Reb Shlomo talk about secrets, I also, it took me a while to figure out what he's actually meaning, Yeah. So, we're on page 130, 131. Yeah, we're on 131. So we were basically saying that a person who doesn't have secrets is an empty person. A person who has secrets is a full person has secrets. And the way we were understanding it was that substitute the word superficiality versus, depth. Okay? So let's go to, so Reb Shlomo said, we'll go to the bottom of 130, we'll start again over there. Kisui pnei hakala, covering the face of the kala. It's good for me to review this because we're doing a wedding today, Baruch Hashem. So hopefully I'll remember some good things to say there. This morning, or she's getting married on Thursday. No, I'm not doing that one. So, he says like this. Hayachas ben ahava lesod. The relationship between love and secret. What's that supposed to mean? So he says, when they were seshet, they do mashu mod amak. I want you to know something very deep. Kishu avim mishu hakol hafech lesod. When you love somebody, everything becomes a secret. And meaning to say, everything has a deeper meaning. If you don't love someone, v'amrim lo shalom, and you tell them, shalom. And by the way, we're learning for the benefit of the healthy and quick release of Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel and Gilad Michal ben Bat Galim and Eyal ben Iris Shura. Hashem should answer their prayers and the prayers of all of Israel, and that all the soldiers and police who are looking for them should also come home safely and successfully. Okay, so if lo havim mishu v'amrim lo shalom, ein kan sod. If you don't like somebody and you said hi, you said shalom, so there's no secret there. Kulam shamu et zeh, everybody heard it, right? Avalim havim mishu v'amrim lo shalom, but if you love someone and you say shalom, zeh malei sodot, it's full of secrets. In other words, it's rich with meaning, right? There's a lot more meaning in it. Okay?
Right.
There's a lot more depth to it.
There's no secrets.
There's no secret
Well,
there.
the only secret is you probably don't like the person.
No, you see, maybe just indifferent, whatever, you understand? But there's nothing got exchanged other than you saying the word, right? That's what got exchanged.
So the word sodot, at definition of sodot, would be deeper.
Yes,
Rather than superficial.
right, exactly. In other words, see, the common usage of the word sod is simply, I'm going to share a secret with you. I'll give you some information that I don't share with anybody else, right? I'm keeping it secret. But that's just the common definition. But the real, deeper definition of sod, right, which is interesting. The gematria of sod is how much? What's the gematria of sod? Samach is 60, Vav is 6, and Dalet is 4. 70, right? How many faces are there, or facets are there to the Torah? Right? When you're learning the Zohar, what do we call that learning? It's called learning the secrets of the Torah. Right? In other words, it's learning things that are beneath the surface. Right? That's the secret. Okay? So but אבל אם אוהבים מישהו ואומרים לו שלום זה מלא סודות. If you love someone and you say shalom, that's full of secrets. יש אוהבים מישהו ואומרים לו מה נשמע. If you love somebody and you say, hey, how you doing? זה מלא סודות. It's full of secrets, page 131. כששני אנשים אוהבים זה את זה והולכים יחד, and two people who are loving each other and they're walking together, נכון, כולם ראו אותם, אבל האמת היא שרק בורא עולם ראה אותם. So everybody sees them walking together, right? But the only one who really saw them together to begin with was who? The creator of the world. לכן, לפני החופה, המנהג הוא שהחתן מכסה את פני הכלה. So therefore, the custom before the chuppah is that the chosn covers the kala's face. הוא בעצם אומר לה, he's basically telling her, כולם רואים אותנו, everybody sees us. אבל בורא עולם יודע שזה סוד. But the creator of the world, he knows that our relationship is a secret. In other words, how deep our relationship is, only Hashem knows that. When you cover something, the very act of covering it is indicating that there's a secret here. Sod matok, sod kadosh. It's sweet and a holy secret. What's the difference between the people of Israel and the nations of the world? Let's say that all the nations are serving God. But the people of Israel are sharing secrets with Hashem, blessed be He. For example, Kol Shabbat Hisod. Shabbos is a secret. Remember the story of Mr. Green and his Kiddush, right? If you would ask Mr. Green, okay, tell me what's Kiddush really about, and so on. I don't think he'd be able to. Somebody said the door.
Yeah.
I don't think that he'd be able to articulate it. Thank you for the word. Right, but he's aware that there's a secret. He knows something. He's aware that there's something going on there. Right. Shalom, shalom. Please have a seat, take a book. Okay. So he's aware that there's a secret there. He's aware that there's something really, really special, right? And so Shabbos is a secret. Superficially, Shabbos looks like any other day, right? Especially, you must remember this period when it was not easy for a Jew. You also remember Mechol even better than Ephraim Mordechai, right? Remember the time when to get a job that you didn't have to work on Shabbos?
Don't work on Saturday. Don't come in Monday.
Right. That's what they used to say. Right. It was a difficult thing. And right. And as a matter of fact, in anti-Semitic literature, they used to accuse the Jews of being parasites because we're not working on Shabbos. That doesn't matter. Anti-Semitism has a different logic, It's okay.
It was a real blessing when they passed, 5-day, 35-hour, 40-hour.
Yeah, for sure. And even now, like there's certain fields, there's certain there's certain things where it's not easy to, like, for example, I met this guy. I was doing a Shabbaton in Maine, I believe it was, or New Hampshire, and this man came up to me and says, he'd like to keep Shabbos, but he works at a Home Depot store, and he's like a manager there, and that business, the main income
is on that day.
Is on that day, right?
And also causes the most problems, which is probably like why the manager would have to be there.
That's right. Okay. So and he says there's no way that he can have that job if he wasn't going to work on Shabbos. Once, this is an amazing story. It's a bit of a longer story. 131. It's a bit of a longer story, but the story is that. There was this guy this religious man, like, he used to sort of chide Reb Shlomo's followers, and he'd say, he would have his various items that he would criticize. And one day he comes in and he says, I take it all back. He says he's a really holy man. What was the story? The story was like this. That one day Reb Shlomo was in the street in Manhattan, and he sees this woman that he knows, and he sees that she ain't doing so well. He went over to her and he said, "What's happening?" And she said that she just came back from the doctor's office, and the doctor told her that she doesn't have more than a couple of weeks to live. She had never had that terrible illness. And she decided she's not hanging around, and she was on her way down to the Hudson River. Right, that's the river that's along the West Side Highway. Right? And she's on her way to jump in. Anyway, Shlomo embraced her, and he stood there in the street, holding her, hugging her for a good 15-20 minutes till he restored her will to live. In the meantime, he noticed that the rabbi of the synagogue that he was going to be giving a concert at on Lag BaOmer passed by, and that the rabbi looked at him like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Right? So when Shlomo came back to his office, to the shul, there was a message on the answering machine: cancellation of the concert. He wasn't surprised. Anyway, listen to this. The next day, or whatever it is, everything's in the hands of God. He gets a phone call from a rabbi in upstate New York, closer to the Ontario border. What's the name of the community there? I don't remember right now. Huh? No, way much further up north.
Yeah,
Huh?
Or
No, it's where Kodak used to be. What's it? Rochester, I think it was. That Moshe Yesel of Shalom was going to be giving them a concert on Lag BaOmer, and Moshe Yesel he slipped, twisted his ankle. He wasn't going to be able to come to the concert, and he had to cancel. And when the rabbi said, "So what are we going to do?" It was just like less than 2 weeks before Lag BaOmer, and so Moshe suggested, try Shlomo Carlebach. So Shlomo Carlebach gets a phone call and he says, "Wow, it's amazing, I just had a cancellation, I'll be happy to come." So the rabbi says to him, "Well, how much do you charge?" So he said, he normally takes $3,000 because Reb Shlomo was supporting unbelievable amounts of people. He died literally penniless. At the funeral, somebody came over to my friend, a Haredi guy, came over to my friend with a bunch of post-dated checks that Shlomo had written him for an entire year in advance. And he said to my friend, is any one of you guys going to cover these checks? No? So Reb Shlomo says to him, so the rabbi says to him, $3,000, I don't think I could pay that. We only budgeted like $500 for this other singer or whatever. So Shlomo said to him like this, I'll tell you what, do a lot of advertising now, and whatever comes in up to $3,000, you'll pay me, and the rest will be yours. The rabbi said, in other words, if $2,500 comes in, you'll pay me $2,500. If $2,000 comes in, you'll pay me $2,000, $1,500, whatever it is. The rabbi was very happy, and they advertised, and it was a successful concert. And at the end of the concert, the rabbi was very happy, and he comes over and gives Reb Shlomo an envelope with $2,800. Okay? And as usual, after the concert, there were people there that obviously wanted to say a few words and talk with Shlomo. There was one young man with a little beard, and he was waiting for everybody else to finish, and he's waiting for Shlomo. And finally, he's alone with Reb Shlomo, and the rabbi's there watching too, and this other man. And he's telling Reb Shlomo that he's a Baal Tshuva, and he's already a couple of years, and his field is computers. He I don't know what they call that particular position, but Like, his job is to make sure, like in this big company, that all the computers are running properly, right? And all these companies are like very dependent on their computers running properly. And it's a good job. It's a well-paying job. But what happens is that since he became a Baal Tshuva, he doesn't work on Shabbos, and 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 whenever it happens that that there's some kind of breakdown on Shabbos, and they say to him, "You have to come in," and he says, "I'm sorry, it's Shabbos." He's been losing his jobs, one after the other, and it's not only putting him into poverty, it's also affecting his Shalom Bayis. Reb Shlomo, without hesitation, put his hand into his pocket and took out the entire envelope of $2,800 and handed it to him. Okay? Now, so this man who witnessed that came in and told one of the Chevre, like, I take back anything I said against Reb Shlomo. Okay. Now, there are two secrets here that we're talking about. Right? One is, you say to this young man, hey, what's so special what's so special about Shabbos that you're willing to lose your job? Right? That's obviously, this man understood that there's something really, really holy about Shabbos, and you can't articulate it. It's really, really special. The other secret is what? What's the other secret in this story?
Your is determined by the end of it.
Yeah, right. But that's concerning this man. But what's the other secret?
There has to be a connection between this story and the woman that he saved.
Well, that's for sure. But as far as Reb Shlomo is concerned, do you realize how deeply you have to be connected with the mitzvah of tzedakah to be able to put you paid your airline ticket, right? It's cost you money to come there. You need this money for your parnasa, right? And you're able to put your hand in your pocket and take the whole $2,800 and give it away like that, right? So what he's saying over here is that you weren't here yesterday. That when we're talking about secrets. But not secrets of I'll tell you where I hid this thing or something like that, but we're talking about the depth of things which are not obvious, okay? So he's saying that all the nations of the world somehow are serving God, but the people of Israel have certain secrets, certain depths of relationship with Hashem, which are beyond what's obvious. So Shabbos is a secret. Called Yom Tov Husod. Yom Tov is a secret, right? It's not just a day off. It's not just a day that you're not working. There's something really special happening, right? So like once the way Zalman put it, the lights, the spiritual lights that shone originally at the first time that we got the Yom Tov, right? Every time we're celebrating this holiday again, we're not just commemorating something that happened in the past, but we're connecting with those lights are being shined again. Okay? So Kol Boker Kishani Miniach Tefillin, Sod Gadol. Every morning when I put on tefillin, it's a big secret. Superficially, all you see me doing is putting on some, strapping on some leather boxes, and that contains certain parchments, etc. Right? But it's something very secret going on here. In other words, something very deep is going on. You're binding your mind and your heart, right? Your heart and your mind to God. Every time I'm looking at my children, it's a secret, right? You see Michal looking at his grandchildren or his great-grandchildren. All you see is you see a young guy like Michal looking at some younger kids, right? And they're biologically related, right? But there's something really deep between them, right? You know why why children and grandparents get along so well?
That's not true. We don't have a common enemy. No.
A grandmother told me that. She said, "You know why my grandchildren get along so well?" Common enemy.
We get along because the grandparent doesn't feel any responsibility.
I know.
Well, my
It's just,
grandparents feel responsibility for me.
thank God. Okay. So now he says like this. ילדים שקרובים להוריהם יודעים שבכל פעם שאביהם או אמם הסתכלו עליהם זה היה סוד גדול, סוד קדוש. Children who are close to their parents know that every time that their father or mother looked at them, there was some kind of a big secret that was being conveyed, a holy secret. מורה טוב הוא אדם מלא סודות. A good teacher is a person full of secrets. כשהוא אומר משהו, when he says something, כולם שומעים זאת. Everybody is hearing what he says. אבל רק התלמידים שלו מבינים את הסוד. But it's only his real students that get the secret of what he's talking about. אברהם ואלינורה. ליהודים שבאים מרוסיה יש סודות עם השם יתברך. Right? These two Yidden, this Chosen and this Kale, he was a famous refusnik, if you remember I told you that. And I think she was also involved with the refusniks. He says the Russian Jews, the Jews who came out of Russia, they have a lot of secrets with God. In other words, their relationship with God obviously ran very deep. אני לא יודע מה הם, I don't know what the secrets are, אבל אני כל כך שמח שיש לכם סודות, but I'm so happy that you have secrets with God. וכולנו שמחים כל כך שבאתם לכאן, and we're so happy that you've come here. מזל טוב. יהי רצון אברהם ואלינורה, so may it be Hashem's will, שבכל בוקר כשאתם מתעוררים יהיה לכם סוד. That every morning when you wake up you should have a secret. You should share a secret. בכל לילה כשהשמש תשקע והירח יאיר, and every night when the sun sets and the moon shines יהיה לכם עוד סוד. You should have another secret. ובכל פעם שתביטו זה בזו יהיה סוד. And every time you look at each other it should be a secret.
Because there is more to that look than just the look.
Exactly. כשאני מסתכל על השמיים, page 132, when I'm looking at the sky, מה אני עושה? What am I doing? מסתכל על השמיים, I'm looking at the sky. אם מישהו יאמר, if somebody says, הוא רק מסתכל על השמיים, if somebody says, he's just looking at the skies, הוא לא הבין שיש כאן סוד, he doesn't understand that there's a secret here. כי כשאני מסתכל על השמיים, אני רואה את מי שאומר יהי עולם, because when I'm looking at the sky, I'm seeing that there's someone who says, let there be a world.
So it's saying that there is a soul, and it's saying
that you don't see it with your physical eyes, but that is the soul, right? In other words, what we're talking about over here is like this. Um, have you learned that the word Shema Yisrael, is an acronym? The word Shema is an acronym for what? Remember, Michal? Se'u Marom Einechem. Lift your eyes upwards. Look at the sky. In other words, there's a verse. Se'u Marom Einechem U'u Mi Bara Ele. And see who created all of this. So,
sorry, the acronym is looking.
huh?
The acronym for Shema is looking.
Se'u, Sin Aleph Vav, Mem Marom, upward towards heaven, Einechem, your eyes. Okay? And see who created all of this, right? So when I'm looking at the sky, I'm looking at the one who said, let there be a world. Imhu Yomar, Ma Pitam. But if the other person says to me, what are you talking about? Vach Ra'it HaShamayim, all you saw is the sky. Zemo TV, it's something very natural. Hu lo yodea davar. He doesn't know anything. Right? Yeah, it's true. It's the sky. It's a glass of water. It's air. Right? So it doesn't know anything. So, Yehi Ratzon Abraham Elinora. So may it be Hashem's will, Abraham and Elinora. Shashamayim Shatem Roim Yiyu Lachem Sod. That the skies that you see shall be a secret. Yehi Ratzon Sha'aretz Shatem Dochim Aleha Tia Lachem Sod. And may it be Hashem's will that the earth that you're stepping on, that you're walking on, should also be a secret for you. Ach habracha ha'ikarit, but the main blessing is שהילדים שלכם יבינו את הסודות שלכם, that your children should understand your secrets. ושיהיה לכם קשר עם ילדיכם, and that you should have a connection with your children. מזל טוב, כתוב בקבלה שעת כיסוי פני הכלה, says in Kabbalah, that at the moment that the Kala's face is being covered, Hi ha'et levakesh al yeladim, is the time to pray for your children. Kulanu amdim po, all of us who are here, we're standing here, mevachim etchem v'yeladim kedoshim, we bless you with holy children. Lechasot et pnei hakala lokeach rega echad, to cover the Kala's face just takes a moment. Ki habracha shel kisui pnei hakala hi kol kach amuka v'kedosha, because the blessing that's coming with the covering of the Kala's face is so deep and is so holy. He kol kach amuka v'kedosha shehi kemo chetz. It's like an arrow. Yorim ota b'rega echad. It gets shot in one instant. But hu mamshich me'atzmo b'darko ad ein sof, but it keeps on going on its own infinitely. Mazel tov.
I'm not sure I got the veil.
So you're saying, so the whole thing with the veil, right, is that the chosin is basically saying the depth of my love is a sod, it's a secret, you can't see it. Now I once heard this example. A couple of people are sitting in a cave. For some reason or other, they're in a cave in the dark for years and years. And they're constantly talking with each other and so on. And then something happens and they get out of the cave, right? And now they see each other. When is the relationship deeper? Before they came out, or before they saw each other, or now that they see each other? Okay, why do you say that?
Like you're getting somebody to know without, like you're getting to know somebody without knowing who they are. You're just like it's covered.
Okay, you want to elaborate, anybody?
I said before, you're relating to somebody on a who they are basis.
Because you don't see what?
Into the physical.
You don't see the superficial aspects of the person. That's what you're saying. I know. That's what I asked somebody. I knew what you're saying. I just wanted it to be elaborated, right? Understand? You don't. You're connecting the like you're not being blinded by what the person looks like, right?
You're not judging them.
Like for example, what's the name of that physicist? Stephen Hawking, right? If you wouldn't know that this is the most brilliant physicist in the world, right? You just see somebody sitting paralyzed in a wheelchair. You make assumptions about the person, right?
Right, but I think it's sort of like the Baal Shem Tov's teaching about the 3 levels. So the first level, you're loving without knowing the person necessarily. Then the next level is you then see the flaws, and the deepest love is after you've seen the flaws that you sort of integrated that and sweetened it.
Good. Yeah. So
the deepest love is after you know the person and you know who they are and their flaws, and that you can accept that and and love them even more for that.
Right. So, but still, now there's a lot of other ideas that Shlomo put into the covering of the Kala's face and so on. Right, like my love for you goes back to before we came to this world, before I ever saw you, before I ever saw how beautiful you are in this world, right? And it's not, and my love for you is not dependent on the superficiality of your looks, etc. Right? And over here, what he's basically saying is like, there's something that's so deep between us that nobody else can see. It's only you and I and God. Right? Okay. So you remember a few days ago we learned the teaching that you walk into a house, how do you know that somebody is there? How do you know that someone's living there? From the furniture, right? If there's no furniture, right? And what did he say? What's the furniture that makes it evident that God is present in the world? And what's that? The love between amongst us, right? That's what fills the world, right? With God's presence. So now he goes on and he says to the hatalit, right? In many places, it's customary that after the ceremony, like after the chosin gives the kala the ring, sometimes before, the kala presents the chosin with a gift, right? Talis. So Reb Shlomo says, "Hatalit lehachzik et ahava." The talis, and the idea that he's going to be presenting over here is that the talis is to maintain the love. Abraham da'alecha שאחרי 120 שנה הנשמה ממשיכה ללכת דרך ארוכה מאוד. After 120 years, the neshama continues on a very long journey. מי שזוכה להתחתן עם האישה הנכונה, one who marries to marry the proper woman, היא הולכת איתו לאורך כל הדרך. She accompanies him the entire journey. היא הולכת איתו בעולם הזה, והיא הולכת איתו בעולם הבא. She accompanies him in this world and in the world to come. המנהג הוא שהכלה קונה טלית לחתן. There's a custom that the kala buys a talis for the chosin, ללכת בה בעולם הזה, וללכת בה עד אין סוף. She buys him a talis to wear both in this world and infinitely. אנחנו מברכים אותך ב-blessing you, Abraham, שבאשר תלך, wherever you go, יהיו לך חיים קדושים, you should have a holy life. ושאשתך תלך איתך תמיד, and that your wife should always accompany you. ותעניק לך כוח ללכת, and that she should always give you strength to continue walking, to continue going. ותיתן לך קדושה ללכת ומתיקות ללכת, and she should give you the holiness, the holy energy and the sweetness with which to walk. כשהיא נותנת לך טלית, when she's giving you a talit, היא בעצם נותנת לך דבר שתוכל להחזיק בו בכל מקום שתהיה בו בעולם. When she's giving you a talit, she's basically giving you something that you'll be able to hold on to wherever you go in the world. בכל ארבע פינות הארץ תוכל להחזיק בציצית. In all four corners of the world, you'll be able to hold on to the tzitzis. אם האישה היא אישה הנכונה, if the woman is the right woman, אזי תמיד יש משהו שאפשר להחזיק בו אפילו בסוף העולם. Then you'll always have something to hold on to, even if you're at the outer edge of the world. אלינורה, תודה רבה בשם כולנו. All of us are thanking you על שאת נותנת כל כך הרבה כוח לאברהם, that you're giving so much energy to your חוסן אברהם. יהי רצון שתביאו כל הכוח לכל עם ישראל, and may be Hashem's will that both of you are going to be bringing a lot of energy to all of Israel. שימשיכו ללכת עד בוא היום הגדול, so that all of Israel should continue the journey until the great day, שבו ניפגש שם שוב, this great day when we're going to all meet again. And that's the end for this Chosin Nekale.
It's funny, I've met the daughter.
You were at the House of Love and Prayer in Tzfat.
Yeah, I've had
You were
Shabbos,
there.
I had Shabbos there. She was here on Florida, right?
Yes. They were here in Purim. True. Okay, so
Were you inspired for the wedding? Right?
yeah, Baruch
Good
Hashem.
wedding.
Shlomo Yaakov and Tehillah.
Oh, you're
Do you know?
going?
You know that?
Of course, I'm going.
You going? Yeah. Good. Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Baruch Hashem. How do you know them?
I met them through mutual friends.
Yeah.
Sheila and I just got really close.
Very nice. Very nice.
Where's the wedding?
The wedding's in Gush Etzion.
Can it be said that everything and everybody has a secret and has a depth to it, but one has to look for it to see it?
Ah, yes, it can be said, but you will encounter people that they're so unaware of it. Understand? There are people who are living their lives totally oblivious to it. You know, totally oblivious to it. And but you can help them discover it
By telling them what I've seen.
by because the fact is that everybody does have a neshama. Never happens to you 100 times a day that you think, hey, where's my neshama? Like, you feel like lost, like, as if, like, what happened to my soul, right?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, so everybody's familiar with that? Well, there are ways to discover it again. Olive based, like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago. A little bit of meditation, some music. Sometimes you just gotta listen to a comedy, a good couple of jokes or whatever it is. Like to get back into a good space. And like Rav Nachman says, focus on something positive, and do something positive.
If one cannot see,
one can say, one can say.
If one what?
If one cannot see this neshama light, one can say that it's covered up, so a person can't see or understand.
Right.
So then a person needs to uncover it.
Right.
And the way to uncover it is to be instead of simcha.
So you need to have simcha and so on. And I remember I told you the story. Exactly. Remember I told you the story about that this Lubavitcher Chassid from Los Angeles told me that he would keep in touch with his students. He was a school teacher, and he kept in touch with his students when they got older. And one of his students was a young man, and he had been a good boy, in school and so on. And somehow or other he got involved in a bad crowd, and he was into a lot of theft. And he took him to an evening where Reb Shlomo was teaching in someone's house, and Shlomo meets this young man, and he embraces him, and he notices. And Shlomo had never met this man before, and so on. And he embraces him. And he's holding him, and Rabbi Kurtzman tells me he's looking at Shlomo, and he sees that Shlomo's crying. And he's holding this man for a couple of minutes, and finally he wishes him the best, gives him a kiss on the forehead, and he goes out to the next person. And this young man turns to Rabbi Kurtzman, and he says, "Rabbi, I'm never going to steal again." And that was it. He had been very involved in theft, and that was it, the end of it. Right? Because what this young man what he needed was that he was so out of touch with his neshama, and he needed another neshama to cry with his soul. Because his soul was crying, but he was so out of touch with it.
Very important. To feel seen by someone else.
Yeah.
And when you pass someone who you know, and they act like they don't know you, it's like.
Well, you know something, once we heard this from Reb Shlomo. It's in the Sefer. Lo tirsach, the sixth commandment, don't commit murder, right? So, let me ask you, you're standing at Mount Sinai, and somebody comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, do you think that God is going to tell us that we're not allowed to commit murder?" What are you going to tell that person? Are you out of your mind? Are you even asking a question? Of course, how could you imagine being at Mount Sinai and thinking that there's a possibility that you can do something like that, right? So the Zohar says like this: on the street level, everybody heard don't commit murder. Plain and simple, don't commit murder. On a higher level, we heard God saying, don't take your anger out on anyone. No, the next level was, don't insult anyone in public. The next level, the people on a higher level heard God saying, don't take your anger out on anyone. And on the highest level, people heard God saying, don't even ignore anyone. Because that's also very subtle. It's a form of murder.
Yeah, that is really deep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's already the level of secret, right?
Just like, this is all fun stuff. It's actually, it's like, so we have mama's beautiful third meals. So sometimes it's people that I've seen at the third meals that I'm walking in the street and they'll turn the other way. So maybe it's a good teaching for people